Welcome Rob Blake, magician and illusionist, to Parties Extra. I'm Helen Ford Wallace. We are at the Oklahoman's video studio in downtown Oklahoma City. Rob, you're pretty famous.
Well, I try.
Well, you were a finalist on America's Got Talent.
That's right.
Just last year.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, where you're going. Tell us about you.
I am an illusionist. I take my magic and illusion show all around the world, but I was born in Oklahoman, and I still live in Norman. I'm based right here in Oklahoma.
And an illusionist does what?
So a magician and illusionist are pretty much the same thing. Magic is the bigger word, the bigger umbrella, and illusion is my specialty. So an illusionist is a magician who performs things on a grand scale. Things with people, making people disappear, reappear, or levitate. Things with big objects like motorcycles or helicopters.
Cut people in two?
Cutting people in half. So,
wow.
So a close-up magician would be someone who does things like card tricks. And a grand scale illusionist is someone like myself who performs a large theatrical production.
A production, and you do parties too.
I do, for fun. I started, like I said, growing up here in Oklahoma, and with a little suitcase show. I would do shows for the Rotary Club or church groups, the Junior League, or birthday parties, or smaller shows. And I still, every now and then, will do a party show for friends.
Oh my gosh! Well, I mean, that's a major talent that you have. Congratulations!
Oh, well,
on
thank
that.
you.
That
Thank
is
you.
really. But you travel everywhere.
I do. I live
Where
in
have you
hotels.
been? Yeah.
All over the world, coast to coast, from Alaska to Florida and everywhere in between here. All over Europe and Asia and the Middle East. So a few places. And I got to be in the Bahamas for over 3 years.
And you just got back from New York.
I just got back from New York City, just late last night.
Oh my gosh! So, how many shows do you do a year?
It varies. Usually a couple hundred shows a year.
Sometimes every day, or sometimes.
Oh yeah. If I'm parked as a resident show somewhere, I will do many shows. Like, for example, in December of last year, I was in Singapore, and I did 75 shows in the month of Singapore. So that included up to 4 shows a day sometimes.
Oh my word!
I'm still recovering from that.
And it's called The Grand Illusions of Rob.
Correct.
Is that it?
The Grand Illusions of Rob Blake.
Oh, okay. Do you take staff with you?
I do. It takes about 20 people to put my show on. The whole show travels in about 4 semi-trucks. And then we have about 20 people that include the dancers and the technicians, the lighting team. The whole production has to travel with me.
Well, where do you get the dancers?
Well, right now we do auditions in New York City. Every couple years we'll audition for the dancers. But for many years when I was starting out in Oklahoma, I got a lot of my dancers from Oklahoma City University.
Oh.
I had a wonderful working relationship with Joe Rowan, and it's one of the best dance programs in the country, and still is. And I still have a great relationship and still think the world of them. And it just worked out. They were in my backyard, and I needed some part-time dancers and help, and so we had a great partnership, and I could do auditions from their school. It was wonderful.
So with 20 people, you have lighting people?
Absolutely.
What else? Lighting,
Lighting,
crew?
sound, stage crew, your wardrobe staff, the dancers, the illusion technicians. It takes kind of a small army to put the show on.
Well, I asked you a question earlier about why you really love doing these performances, and you said these wonderful things about you like to create wonder and joy and doing the impossible. So what else?
Well, especially today, there's so much negativity, so much cynicism, so many things that are unpleasant in our world. And I think now more than ever, we all need a little, not escape in a negligent way, but just an escape for our own sanity, just a throwback to when things were simpler and easier and even more magical for us. So I think even for the hardest skeptic who comes to my show, if they're wanting to catch something or figure a trick out, there's this brief moment for everyone in the audience where we all become a child again. And even, like I said, the toughest skeptic, there's this brief moment where the look on their face shows wonder and joy and awe, where we feel like, well, maybe anything could be possible.
Oh.
And that moment is what it's all about for me, making that happen again and again. And eventually into the show, people, especially the skeptics, give up on trying to figure it out, and then they just sit back to enjoy it. But especially at the beginning, they're really hoping to catch something, and then when they don't, you can just see it on their face. It's a release. And it's a release more than just trying to figure it out. It's a release into letting themselves experience joy, which unfortunately there seems to be quite a deficiency in right now.
Well, you bring a lot of joy to a lot of people, and you have big audiences too.
We do. Yeah, I think my largest audience was 15,000 people one time.
Wow.
But my average is about 2,000 on average.
Well, that's still big.
Yeah, it is, it
That's
is.
huge. So what are you working on now?
I'm working on some new illusions for the show. I'm always creating new aspects of the show. One of them I've had an idea for when I was 12 years old, and my whole life people told me can't do it that way. It won't work. It will never happen. And we're very, very close. It will probably be in the show this spring or summer. So I have 3 big illusions I'm working on, and then we're also touring more tour dates all around the world.
Oh my gosh! So you're just busy. So did you take classes in how to be a magician?
Well, I grew up a theater kid. My heroes growing up were never magicians. My idols were Walt Disney and Jim Henson and Steven Spielberg, and they still are my heroes today. And I grew up doing Oklahoma Children's Theater summer camp. You know, Lynn Adams, who is a saint and brilliant in the Oklahoma Children's Theater here in Oklahoma City, I would go see their shows as a kid. I would go to their camps. So I really have always wanted to do entertainment and always wanted to be a part of it. But when I saw a magic show, I knew that's what I would do.
And you were 12.
And I was 10 years old when I saw a magic show, and it was in Branson, Missouri, with my family, and I knew immediately that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. So I went to the library, I got every book I could on magic, and I had to really be self-taught.
So you are self-taught.
I am self-taught. Now I had a couple mentors who've been tremendously helpful and changed the course of my life, and were very, very dear to me, and very helpful. But most of it had to be self-taught and self-dedication and self-worked out. And so when I was 20, I was at the University of Oklahoma in Norman, and I just kind of up and left to try to pursue magic full-time as a career.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of freaked out my family and everyone I knew. But for me, I had to go kind of learn things a different way. I've had to learn more in kind of the university of life, you know, in the kind of a sink or swim kind of way. But I really just had to go for it and really put my focus into my dreams and making them happen.
So do you teach others?
You know, I've been lucky. There are a couple younger magicians who I've been able to give advice and wisdom to, and some that I work kind of closely with and together. And it's been fun to kind of give back the way mentors and teachers gave back to me.
So tell us a little bit about your experience on America's Got Talent. How was that?
It was a blast. You know,
They were in awe of you, I think.
It was fun. It was an exhausting shoot schedule because I was already on tour. And for example, for the second round, I was on tour in Europe. I had to cancel a couple of shows on tour in Europe, fly directly from Frankfurt, Germany to Los Angeles, 18 hours of travel and flight, and no sleep at all, go to the studio, film for 18 hours nonstop, go back to the airport, fly back to Europe, and continue the tour.
Oh my gosh.
So it was an exhausting year, but it was a blast. And I've met so many people, it exposed me and my performances to millions of people around the world that would have never seen me before.
Well, and they loved you. That was the main thing.
Oh, it worked out great. I'm glad it turned out how it did.
And you were a finalist. So
I was. I got to perform in the Dolby Theater in Hollywood where the Oscars are held.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a packed house, 4,000 people, one of the biggest stages in the world. And it was a rush. It was a big experience.
So what did you do for them?
And it was live TV. It was not tape, so if you screw up, it was live. So if anything goes wrong, 60 million people are going to see it. So and it will live on YouTube forever. So I played it safe. I picked some of the best pieces for my show, things I've been doing for years that I knew exactly how it would go, and had to play it safe. But it was still a rush. When you walk out on that stage, you see that many people, and you see all of these cameras. I don't get stage fright anymore, but I saw the gravitas of the situation. So wow, this is a big deal. And it hit me hard, not in a delayed way, but it gave me enthusiasm and boosted me up. Said, this is a big deal. There are millions of people who are going to be watching this live right now, and then down the road on Netflix and YouTube and everything else. This is kind of cool.
We hope you get that kind of coverage from the Oklahoman.
Well, I'm sure this is going to top it for sure. I'm sure this will definitely top it.
Okay, so tell me, what are some of the latest 2020 trends in magic?
Most of the trends in magic have been smaller scale. There are a lot of kind of YouTube magicians who do really great card tricks or close-up magic, and not very many people do the grand scale illusions like I do. So
you're setting the trends.
I don't know if I'm setting the trends. I'm doing what I'm passionate about. I'm doing what I've prepared my life to do. I'm doing what I know best. And I think people like that, so I hope that becomes a trend. But I'm going to keep doing what I love to do and keep doing what's working so far.
Are there awards for magic?
There's the Merlin Award, which
And
is like
you've
the
been
Oscar.
recognized.
Yep, I was in 2008, I was the youngest magician in history to be named a Merlin Award winner. And growing up, all my heroes had won this, Siegfried and Roy, and Doug Henning, and Blackstone, and David Copperfield. And then I got a call that I was nominated by the committee for this, and it's given by the International Magician Society, which is the largest magic group in the world. And I thought it was a joke at first. I said, I'd love to, but really? And so, but they honored me, and I won the Merlin Award. It was a big deal, and I'm still honored from it.
Well, you deserve it. I
Well,
know
thank
that.
you.
So, how can people get in touch with you if they want to have a party and have you?
Well, or even if they want to experience the magic online, my social media, it's very easy. It's Rob Lake Magic on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. It's all the same. And on my website, roblake.com, we have our tour schedule and the contact info. And you say parties, it's kind of a secret. I'm known for the grand scale show.
Right.
It takes, like I said, 4 semi-trucks. It's a big production, but every now and then we do the kind of the suitcase show for fun, which we created a special show for the casino high rollers. I'll perform for all these casinos, but they want to do a special add-on for their super high rollers. So I created a really fun close-up show. So that's so much fun for me to get to do interactive magic for a group of small special
VIPs.
people. So absolutely. So that show's been fun. We do some parties with that every now and then too.
That's awesome. Well, you've got it. So, anything you want to share about upcoming magicians? I mean, what would you tell somebody that wants to go into this profession?
Just like any profession, but especially I think in the arts, there's a lot of struggle, a lot of setbacks. So it's a lot of challenges, probably more so in a less conventional vocation like magic or entertainment. So someone has to be very passionate, very dedicated, and willing to continue working when things aren't happening for them. It takes a lot of discipline to be self-taught and to really focus and to, especially during the struggling times, to keep at it. So if someone is that passionate and that dedicated, it usually ends up being worthwhile no matter what they do. But for magic, it's the biggest reminder, which I still remind myself, is to make sure it's fun. Make sure you're still having fun. Make sure the audience is still having fun, and then the magic is almost secondary to that.
It sounds like the audience is always having fun.
That's definitely the goal. And if they're not, I'm doing something very wrong.
And to have it is a big theater production.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Every time.
Absolutely.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. Good job. Okay, so anything else you want to tell about magic or your past or your future?
Like I said, this is an exciting year. The year just began, and some of the things have just developed in the last few weeks, which are, like magic, a lot of secrecy, so I can't tell you yet, but maybe we'll come back and discuss those.
Anytime.
But stay in touch, because this is really some things I've been working on for many years, not just these new illusions, but other kind of performance locations and venues are starting to fall into place in really exciting ways, which is something. Growing up in Oklahoma, we're not an entertainment capital. And unfortunately, a lot of my performances are out of the area. I come home every year for a benefit show. I'm an animal rescue person. I support some animal rescue groups. So every year I come home.
Is that in Norman?
In Norman. And every year I come home, but I've also done some in the city for Oklahoma City Humane Society. But every year I come back to Norman and I do the full show. I fly my whole crew in. We bring all the illusions in. And every year I bring in the show and we do a benefit performance for animal rescue groups. And one of them is Friends for Folks, which is the prison dog program, where they train, they have inmates train these unwanted dogs.
Oh, wow.
And most of these dogs become service animals. These are the ones that people want to adopt. They might have behavior problems, they might be mangy looking, but they're sweet dogs. They deserve a home too. But it's a win for the prisoner, because it takes the dedication and they get the compassion and the love back. It's a win for these dogs that were discarded, because now they're going to have a home and a purpose and a life. And it's so definitely a win for the people who get the dog. So that's Friends for Folks, and I come back every year to do fundraisers for them.
When is the next one?
We just did it in October, and it's usually about every year to about every year and a half. It really depends on my schedule as well as the schedule. And that becomes a Norman event. So the Norman community donates the theater, a lot of people sponsor the event, and it really becomes a big event. And we also sponsor the Norman Animal Shelter and a few other groups too as part of that too.
Well, everyone needs to see you.
I think so too. I think so too.
Okay, anything else?
No, this has been fun.
No, I'm so glad you came in. Well, thanks, Rob Lake, for sharing your magic with us. You are a true professional, and we applaud the way you make people and things disappear. You're a great entertainer, and we wish you the best during your travels. You have a wonderful talent. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.